Old Phoenix Wright, old Nicky Wright, the most exciting lawyer since Ally McBeal? I can't think of any others. What about the OJ guy? Who is he? Kardashian? He's exciting. Yeah, since him. Anyway, this isn't about McBeal or Kardashian. This is about Wright, Phoenix Wright. These games came out, 15 years ago, I think, on the Game Boy Advance originally. And then they ported over to the 3DS, the DS. And now here they are on the main consoles, the big boys. Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Not a console, but you know what I mean. And you've got the trilogy here. You've got Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright, Justice for All. I think that's a Metallica album. And Phoenix Wright, Trials and Tribulations. I don't think that is a Metallica album yet. They've still got time. And there's not a huge amount of movement between the three, to be honest. You could play the first one and the last one and not know which one is which. Do you know what I mean? There's not a lot of difference between the first. There's not a lot of growth in that franchise. Not that there especially needs to be, because what Phoenix Wright does, it does very well. It is kind of in two parts. You have each sort of case you have, because you are a criminal defence lawyer, albeit quite a tenacious one who goes around crime scenes and finds clues. Don't think that's what defence lawyers do. Anyway, skip over that. So in these sections, you are gathering evidence for the court case. So it's a point and click basically. You're moving your little cursor around the screen, which is a magnifying glass, obviously. Everyone uses magnifying glasses. To find clues that might help you later on, get some items to add to your record for the court, all of that. Maybe do some interviews, get some information out of people. And then you move on to the trial stage, where you have your witnesses come forward, and they will give you a testimony, and then that gets broken down into each individual kind of phrase, sentence, and you can kind of pull them up on it. You can press them for more information and see if they mess up and, reveal a lie, and you can push on that. Or you can present some evidence to contradict what they've said. And this is where the game really shines. It's a really fun way of doing the usual puzzle mechanic of, presenting an item you found to solve a puzzle, like key goes in door, whatever. Like the LucasArts kind of games. But instead of that, it's a much more logical application of that. It's like someone has said something, what have you got that can prove wrong what they've said? Like, for example, someone says, oh, I saw the murder happen at 6 o'clock, and you've got a police report that says the person died at, 5:30. That's a very basic example. And they start off a bit like that. They start off quite basic. But towards the end, I'm not a bright man, so I was having to think quite a lot, and I was having to scratch my head and really piece it together and think, what have I got to prove this statement wrong here? And it's really fun. The point and click bits are okay. They are less interesting, quite pedestrian. When you're interviewing people, it can be good. It can be very good in some ways, because the dialogue is really well written. It's pretty hilarious. The characters are great as well. There is a lot of text though, and you will just spend minutes at a time, like 5-10 minutes at a time, just pressing the A button to skip through dialogue. It's a very talky game, which you would expect from a courtroom simulator, I guess. But it goes on a bit, especially when there's so little in the way of sound effects and dialogue, even music as well. The music that's there is very tinny. It's kind of like they've brought the music, well, they have, I guess, brought the music from the earlier ports, but they could have done with sprucing that up a bit, because there are long stretches where there is no music, and then the music that is there is very basic, almost 8-bitty stuff. Yeah, that could use some polishing. But the characters and the story are very good. For a courtroom thing, I was concerned it was going to get quite bleak at times, because, crime is bad. Some crimes are very bad. But it tends to focus on murder, which is, of course, the fun crime. Like, you can talk about murder in video games and whatnot, and still it be a kid's game, even though you're ending a life? I don't really know how that works. Anyway, so the sound is pretty weak here. Could have used a polish in the ports, to be honest, Capcom. Come on, guys, up your game. You put out one Resi 2 remake a year and you think you've really nailed it, honestly. But it's also, the visuals are also very basic. A lot of static scenes that repeat themselves throughout the 3 games. It doesn't even in the 3rd game you will see the same courtroom and so forth that you will see in the 1st game. The exact same images and everything. And a lot of characters repeat as well. But then the characters are very good. The dialogue is great, as I've said before. And the movements, there's not a lot of them, but they're very distinctive. There's like the thing Phoenix does where he puts his hands down on a desk and he points, and it's just really imitatable, like you really want to do it. So they do quite a lot with limited amounts of visuals in this game. And again, it's a port of, a 3DS, Game Boy Advance even title, so you're going to get that. But also it would have been nice to have a little bit more. It is HDified and it looks very sharp. But yeah, it would have been nice to have a bit more to it, a bit more animation, more movement, some new scenes and whatnot. But hey, all in all, it's a great game. I say game because it feels like one game, even though it is a trilogy. They flow on from each other. There's kind of a little roundup at the end that kind of brings it all back. Spoilers. Not spoilers. Spoilers? No, not spoilers. Yeah, I'd really recommend this. It was the first time I'd played these games. I had never touched them on the Advance or the 3DS. So getting involved with the Phoenix Wright world, yeah, it's been really good. It's, I say, quite basic. Don't expect anything too fancy here in terms of visuals or sound, but what you get in terms of story and characters and the courtroom scenes with the cross-examination, they're really good. It's really good fun. It's a really nice way of applying that kind of old formula of present objects to solve puzzle in a much more logical way. So yeah, I'm going to give Phoenix Wright Trilogy 8 out of 10. Pause for dramatic effect. So yeah, recommend. It's worth mentioning, I played it on Switch, and if you have it on Switch, you obviously get the handheld mode and the touchscreen, and you can use the touchscreen to navigate around those kind of point-and-clicky bits, which obviously you don't get on a PS4 or an Xbox or so forth. So that is a nice reason to get it on Switch. I'd recommend it on that if you've got one. But yeah, thanks for watching / listening / whatever you're doing. There's a bit more of a detailed review of this on the website, nextgenbase.com, if you fancy reading a little bit more about our new friend and most exciting lawyer since Ally McBeal, Phoenix Wright. Subscribe to all of the NGB stuff. I don't know, do what you want to do. Cheers, bye.